I've had mad writer's block, but as Kanye would say, the writer's block is over. It's coming out a bit late, but I watched Black Panther, so let's talk about it. Alright, okay, so Black Panther Wakanda Forever is directed by Ryan Coogler and is the much anticipated sequel to 2018's Black Panther, which was also directed by Ryan Coogler. And whilst Wakanda are really, dealing with their whole grieving process of not only losing their king, but also their Black Panther, we get a new character called Namor from the underwater civilization known as Talokan, who comes out to play. And I'm going to start off with Namor because with it being an MCU film, the villains aren't always the best. I think even the most diehard Marvel fans can admit that, but I think for the most part, they did a pretty solid job. I'm not too sure if it's Namor or Namor, because he gets called both in the film, but he says Namor, so I'm going to say Namor. Neymar. I don't think it really matters. There is a flashback which delves into his backstory, which I wasn't fully feeling all of it. It was good, but there were just a few things that I was a bit confused at. I wasn't really feeling it, Some things were a bit random, but for the most part, I really liked the character. I thought his motivations were clear, you related to him, you understood where he was coming from, and he looks pretty cool, The guy has like fucking flying wings on his feet, he just starts jumping about and that. It's pretty sick. They make a conscious effort to make him a real focal point in the film. You spend a lot of time with him, you come to learn about him and his people, his city, what drives him, what motivates him. And I've not seen all of the films in Phase 4 because it's fuck Marvel, it's way too long. But from the films I have seen, I think he was definitely the best villain I've seen post-Endgame so far. Big shout out to the actor who portrayed him. I hope I'm saying this right. I think it's Tenoch Huerta. I might have butchered that. If I did, blame Google Translate. But I think he smashed it as a villain. And shout out to the actor because I was looking through his IMDb and he's done a lot of South American films. He was in Narcos Mexico as well. If you've not seen Narcos Mexico, go watch Narcos Mexico. But I'm hoping this role will really put him into the Hollywood spotlight and hopefully then he can get a few more, I don't want to say bigger roles, but more mainstream roles. Now getting onto the main cast, I'm going to start off with Letitia Wright because I think she deserves an insane amount of applause. I don't think she herself could have foreseen the level of responsibility she was going to have to take on in this film. Coming in from a side character and stepping into the main role. And, at the end of the day, this is her film. This is Shuri's film. It's her dealing with the loss of her brother, trying to do what's best for her people. And there's many scenes in the film where she has to bring that emotion and she does really drive the story forward. And I think she steps up and really made it her own. And I think she smashed it. It's crazy to think that she was in Top Boy a few years ago and now she's the lead role in one of the most successful movie franchises of all time. And she's from the UK, so yeah, shout out to the UK, man. Shout out Letitia Wright. Also want to give props to Angela Bassett. She's always been a certified actor and I think this just strengthens the case. I think she was fantastic as Queen Ramonda. There's a couple moments with her in particular where she has to really deliver some emotional monologues and she has quite a few emotional scenes in the film and I think she really brought that and you feel for her. You feel for both the characters in this film, Shuri and Queen Ramonda. You can tell they're really finding it hard to deal with the death of their son and brother. I think this is one of them films that really transcends acting and blurs the lines of what's real. Is it these characters grieving the death of a loved one or is it deeper than that? Is it these actors, really grieving the death of a loved one, grieving the death of a friend? There's many interviews from the first Black Panther where you can see how close they all were on set and I've heard quite a few times that the actors have described the film as being a family and, it's sad, man, because you can tell both the characters really gave it their all. Both the actors, should I say, really gave it their all. And, you're invested and you feel that emotion. Right, we've also got Winston Duke back as in Baku. I loved in Baku in the first film. He isn't in it as much in this film, which I was quite disappointed with. He doesn't have as big a role, but, whenever he was on screen, it was fun. He really brings a lot of the comedy into the film, alongside Martin Freeman, who is back as Agent Ross, I think. But yeah, so that's mainly where the comedy comes in, and I'm totally fine with that. Like, in terms of the Marvel comedy, this one they definitely tone it back, and I really appreciated that because I think in recent times, almost all the Marvel films have started to take on this, very funny type persona, and I get it with certain films. One of my nitpicks with just Marvel in general was the fact that they were just putting so much comedy into all of their films, and I'm really glad that Ryan Coogler toned it down this film, and It's definitely more of a serious film. I thought the music was really nice as well. You know, when you're in Wakanda, you have some more South African amapiano, there's some reggae, Afro beats, and then when you're in the civilization of Tolucan, there's more traditional Hispanic Mayan instruments. And it was nice to see the two different cultures in the film. It just makes a change, you know, because the MCU films can get a bit same old. And there's a couple times where that Hispanic music is booky, like the first time you see the Telecans, the music's just eerie, like it was almost like watching a horror film. Yeah, shout out to the music. It was nice to see different types of instruments being used other than, you know, the typical Avengers type heroic music, if that makes sense. I don't know. Now, getting on to my negatives, I've been quite blessed because the past two films I've reviewed, I haven't really had too many critiques about it. I think for this film though, I would say it is pretty long. It clocks in at about 2 hours and 40 minutes. We spend a bit of time with some side characters, which I think could have been trimmed down a bit. So I've already mentioned Agent Ross. I really like Martin Freeman. It's not a dig on him. I like his character, but there's him and then a new side character who's introduced who I won't name. I don't want to spoil anything. That was also a good character, but if I'm being, you know, critical of anything, I think they could have maybe cut down a few of the scenes with them two characters and, you know, focus that more to what was going on in Wakanda, either with Shuri or with Namor. But I think that's just more of a nitpick. Like, I don't mind long films. And also, final negative, I don't even really know if this is a negative as such, but the Telecans, when they're out of the water, they're blue and they live in the water, and it just reminded me of another set of blue people who live in the water that's coming out very soon. But like I said, it isn't really a negative, it was just more of a nitpick. Like I felt like I was watching a sneak peek of the new Avatar film. But overall, I really enjoyed Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and I definitely think that Black Panther was one of the better films we've had in Phase 4. I think it is the best film we've had in Phase 4. I think I'd even put this above Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think what Coogler did was amazing. You know, it really does feel like a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, and I think he did the best with what he could have done. I think he did a brilliant job, you know, having to change the scripts and implement things that would not have been there had Chadwick Boseman survived. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was fun. I thought it was exciting. I thought the action was good. I've not even touched on the action yet. The action was good, really nice. It was stylized. A lot of it was in slow motion. So yeah, good all around. But yeah, so to conclude, I can't even remember what rating system I used in the Batman. I can't remember if it was out of 5 or out of 10. I'm just going to do out of 10 for this one, and then maybe I'll look and get a better rating system for the next review that I do. But yeah, overall, I'd give Black Panther Wakanda Forever a 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it and I'm excited to see the Black Panther again. I will just say there is no end credit scene at the end of this film. There's a mid credit scene, but after that, you know, just get the fuck up. Just leave the cinema. Don't waste your time with it because them MCU credits are long. If you watch the video, then, you know, thank you. I'm eternally grateful. I appreciate everyone who locks in for it, you know. Even if you just click on the video, you know, that means so much. So yeah, thank you everyone, and I'll see you in a bit.